Mr. Kukkan, thank you for the interview for Mia. We are very glad to have you here. Last time we saw you here, I think in June this year, for the second session of the Jean Monnet process.
Yes, correct.
Mr. Kukkan, you are thoroughly familiar with our country's European integration process and its reform agenda. How likely do you think it is that North Macedonia will get a date to start accession talks with the EU in October?
Well, I think this is the most important question. I am no longer a member of the European Parliament, so I can talk more freely. I think that you can expect that date in October with positive expectations. I personally think that North Macedonia will get the date to start the accession negotiations. You have been waiting for this moment for too long time. It's absolutely incredible that being a candidate country for 12 or 13 years and only now you are getting that date. But let's not go back to the history. You had also some problems, but seriously, to sum it up, I think that you have done everything which EU asked you to materialize in order to get the date for the negotiations. It was said by many politicians who visited your country. Take Donald Tusk, who was here, he also mentioned this. All other important politicians, leaders of the governments, said that North Macedonia deserved that date. But, my experience from my life is that, yes, I am optimistic, but I believe it only when it happens. So let's wait for the date. But if you ask what is my opinion, I think North Macedonia deserves that date because of the internal development, that you have done many things which were necessary to get the date. And I think that that date, when you get the information from Brussels, you will have celebrations here.
Thank you. I hope so. Regarding the reforms in the area of the rule of law and fight against corruption, how important is it to pass the new public prosecution law that will decide the status on the Special Prosecutor's Office ahead of the session of the European Council and the Council of the EU in the middle of October?
Well, this issue which you mentioned, fight against corruption, the Special Prosecutor Office, all these issues are very important. They are given very great attention from the European Union, from the European Commission, and I know that are difficult issues, but I would say the sooner you realize them, the sooner you finish them, the better for you. And I think that all your players should do all they can in order to be done before the European Council on 16th of October. And I know that your politicians are very much involved, engaged, interested, but these are not easy issues. But given the situation in the country and its really ambitions to get the date for starting the negotiations, I think that everybody should be aware of the time factor. Time is important, timing is important, and timing is that these things should be done before the European Council.
Your visit to Skopje is connected with the third plenary session of the National Convention for the EU to North Macedonia, supported also by Slovak aid. The session will focus on the fight against corruption. What should our country do to deliver results in this area? And what's your take on the high-level corruption racket case?
Well, again, we are dealing with very important issues. I think that the National Convention is a very good forum for discussion of these things, and we in Slovakia have a lot of positive expertise and experience with that, and we are glad that we could be helpful to deal with these issues here in North Macedonia. Corruption is another issue which is very much followed by the European Union, by the European Commission, and the countries are judged by not the statements, however good they are, by the laws, but by the concrete cases, you know, that this man was put in prison because he was proved that he is corrupted. That's what we need, concrete results, and to show the record that it is not only theoretical discussion, but it's the things which is implemented in the real life. And record case, you know, is very important. All your politicians are saying that it is very important. It is necessary to deal with it very fast and very in a right objective way. But again, European Union is waiting for the real result, what the concrete result. So I think it is also the political responsibility of your leaders to deal with it in such a way. Everybody is emphasizing in your president, everybody, but we need the result, not only the statement.
France, one of the leading EU member countries, is insisting that reforms with the EU take priority over enlargement. Is it possible that this view will predetermine the EU decision to start accession talks with North Macedonia?
I don't think so, and I hope that it will be not like that. I don't agree with President Macron when he said in his statement, the first we have to reform the European Union from inside, and then we should go for the enlargement. I think this is wrong. How long will it take to reform European Union? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And it means that you will have to wait all that time. I don't think that this was very well thought over plan of the French president, who likes to introduce reforms, but sometimes those reforms are kind of romantic, divorced from real life. But to be fair with him, I noticed in his latest statements that he is somehow softening his strict approach to priority of reform before the enlargement, because I said this is real. I don't agree, because this is not fair to you. You have done a lot of work, and now all of a sudden we say that we leave you aside and we shall deal with our own issues. And I understand that many people don't appreciate French approach, and again, I think that he will not be so tough or so strong in keeping that statement. So, and it would be a shame if this reform agenda would, you know, really be adopted and saying that enlargement will come later. I don't think that this French position will be accepted by other member states of the EU. But even if one state, you know, take that position, it's very wrong, because we need unanimity, we need consensus. I only hope that France is going to change its position, and I know that your politician had a lot of contacts with French counterparts in order to explain how important really is the enlargement. Not only for your country, it is important for the whole European Union, because if we don't do that, we are going to lose our credibility. We a little bit started already losing its credibility, because we were telling you something to fulfill, you fulfilled it, and then our turn come to deliver, and we didn't do it. So we shouldn't play with this kind of political responsibility for the EU.
Brexit, including whether it happens with or without a deal between Brussels and London, has been making waves across the whole European Union. What is your opinion about this?
Well, I'm convinced that Brexit is a bad thing for everybody. First of all, the biggest damage it will bring to the people of the United Kingdom. I don't have any doubts about it. But it will also hurt us, European Union. UK was paying a lot of money to the budget of the EU. We have to, somehow fill this gap which will be open. The way the UK government is behaving is terrible. It's terrible. Madam May and now Boris Johnson. This is not a show, We are not looking at the circus performance. We are dealing with the very serious European issues. And for me, it seems that sometimes Boris Johnson is acting like in a very irresponsible way. I expect that Brexit is going to happen on the date which is there in October, and I think it will happen without the agreement, which is not optimistic. I'm a born optimist, but realistic. I really don't think that we can reach a deal with such an irresponsible partner on the other side. On my opinion, we were very patient with them. We were very broad-minded with them. We have offered many things, but in Parliament they rejected everything. They adopted only things which they don't want. But we don't know what they want. They can agree, we don't want this, but they cannot agree on the things which can be seriously discussed with us. So I'm skeptical. Some people say that there will be another referendum. I don't believe it. Brexit means Brexit, and that's it. So it's a pity. I'm really very much sad about this going to happen, but it was their choice. And we all will have to suffer the consequences of this wrong, negative choice. But that's how it happened, and I don't think it can be changed now.
How will Brexit affect relations between Brussels and the Western Balkans and North Macedonia in particular?
Well, I don't think that there will be any direct damage for the Western Balkans region. Of course, it's difficult now really to predict what will actually happen, because when it starts in the 1st of November, it will be a lot of chaos, you will travel to UK with visa needed for that. It will be completely different world, so it's difficult to predict what kind of changes will happen with the Western Balkans, but I understand that, I know that people are fully aware about the responsibility of the EU in your region, and I don't expect any damaging effects.
Do you consider writing memoirs, put the most interesting moments of your rich experience on paper, maybe?
Definitely, yes. As you know, on the 2nd of July, I ended my 10 years in the European Parliament. Now I'm back home in Bratislava. I started my pedagogical work already at the law faculty of the University of Comenius in Bratislava. So I will be lecturing. I'm looking forward. That's one thing I was planning, and the second thing is to write a book about my experience from the political and diplomatic life. I know that it's very difficult, it's not so easy, and I spent many years in diplomacy and politics, but I will tell you maybe for the first time that in 1 year I want to finish that book. So
Yes.
and I give it a very great importance.
Will Macedonia be part of this book?
Oh,
Because
definitely.
you have been so many times here
When-
and helped this country.
When the 3 members of the European Parliament, as they call us, troubleshooters, started to come to, at that time, Macedonia, we were meeting with the leaders of political parties in the corridors of the European Parliament from 8 in the evening till 6 in the morning all the time. But it was successful and very interesting. It led to the Jean Monnet dialogue, as you know, which was successful. The first round we are preparing for the second one. It was not abandoned because we still think that it can bring some political advantages to your political parties in the parliament. So North Macedonia will be a long chapter in my book.
Really, it's interesting. And maybe for the last question, what are the best memories you will take with you from Macedonia?
Well, the personal relation with your leaders. I had very good, friendly relations, and I can say that I have friends in Macedonia, in higher echelons of the political scene, and that is the most valuable, that is the most lasting, which stays with you, the personal friendship and personal relations.
So we may expect you here in Macedonia and in some near future also.
Definitely yes, because I'm out of politics now. I'm not a member of any political party. I announced it in Slovakia, but still teaching is also very, very important. But I'm still being invited to many international conferences. I will go to Brussels to be a speaker at the event of 15 years of EU membership of the Central European countries. I will travel to Albania, they invited me. So my Balkan expertise is so deep in me and people respect it that they will simply not allow me to forget about your region, and I like it very much. So you will definitely see me in Skopje.
Okay. I hope that that the book you talked about, you will, having in mind that you were a witness of and a participant of some of the most important historical moments in Slovakia, in Slovak Republic. You were a Minister of Foreign Affairs when you become a member of the European Union and NATO, for example.
It was during the time when I was a foreign minister,
Yes.
because I stayed almost 10 years.
Yes, yes. So I'm looking forward to see this book, and I hope you will promote it here in Skopje also.
Thank you very much, and I hope to really continue having close contacts with your country.
Thank you. Thank you once again. Okay.